One of the main functions of our spine is spinal segmentation. For a lot of us, we don't use our spine in its true capacity. We sit at a desk, or we drive to work, or we spend most of our days in a braced position and not necessarily getting the movement that your spine needs. If you are somebody like that, what I like to do is prioritize certain exercises that are going to give you the best bang for your buck and get that spine moving the way we would like. My favorite exercise for segmentation in your spine, which trumps any other exercise that I've ever tried for my spine, is a Jefferson curl. And I'm going to give you a few variations to address and I suppose get a good understanding as to where you would take or can take your Jefferson curl. You'll notice I have a block here. What I find is that for a lot of us, if we do have a lot of tension in and around our lower back, or we are suffering from any kind of aches and pains in that back, getting a bit of control or assistance from your legs is going to be very beneficial in terms of giving your body access to move and segment that spine. So with the block, what I would do is, first variation, we're going to work at a wall. The main reason is your body loves contact. And especially when we're trying to lengthen or going into a stretch position, when we have props like a block or the wall, the body will feel supported and it will give you more access. So I'm going to use a little bit of tactile feedback by using the post here so that I can align my spine against the post. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the block and I'm going to place the block in between my knees. The main reason why I do that is because when I place the block in between my knees, I can remind myself to squeeze my legs together and to keep good tension in my quads. By supporting the hips, my spine now will, in theory, give me a little bit more access. So as I said, we're going to use the post. I'll line myself up so my spine is kind of working up against that post. I've also walked my feet away from the wall so that I can tuck my pelvis and really get my lower back onto the wall. So if you are going through this motion and you feel a level of tension or apprehension, just remind yourself to squeeze the block. If you don't have a block, just use a pillow, a set of books, something that can remind you to keep contact. I'm going to place my hands on my legs and I'm going to use my legs as a roadmap to allow me to segment. I'm going to tuck my chin first, roll my shoulders forward, and then I'm trying to keep every bit of my spine on the wall and just peel from the top. So I'm allowing my back to really round here, really working on creating as much flexion through my spine. Up and down as low as feels comfortable. Take a breath or two, and then I suck my stomach in and try to get my lower back to touch first. Then I come all the way back up to standing. We go again, we tuck the chin, roll the shoulders forward, and just allow that back to peel off the wall as we go down. Now, if along the way you find, let's say for instance, the top is really cooperative in that it's allowing you to segment really nicely, then you hit a point. And you hit this point where maybe it feels quite tight and you can feel, a good chunk of your back coming off the post. What I would recommend to do there is that maybe spend a bit of time in just that particular position. So I've come down, I've got to that particular point, and then it's like, oh, a little bit of tightness, what do I do? So I like to really think of breathing out to release that tension, and then just kind of moving up and down in that particular area. I play around with squeezing the block, I play around with leaning to my left, leaning to my right to make sure that I'm balancing out my body. That would be your first level of progression. So how do I make this more challenging? The next step, and what I would recommend, is that we take it now away from the post. The benefit of doing that is it will start to test your hamstring flexibility because you're not going to be pushing back. So you're going to try to stay kind of on the forefront of your feet. You will notice, or maybe you won't, but check it out is that you might start to sit back with your hips. I would prefer you to try and keep more pressure on the balls of your feet when you go down, okay? So we're just gonna really try to flex the spine as much as we can, come down as low as possible, suck the stomach in, come all the way back up to standing. Now the next level of progression from there would be to start to add weight to the movement. The first way I like to add weight to this movement is with some dumbbells. The benefit of dumbbells is we can start to scale in increments of like 1 or 2 kilos. So for demonstration purposes, I've just grabbed myself 2 5 kilos. I like to work in this exercise on dumbbells because I do find that a lot of us create a little bit too much tension in our lower back when we're holding onto a barbell or a broomstick or something like that. So I'll just give you a quick demonstration of this, and then you get the idea of how we make it more challenging by just adding more weight to the movement once we feel it's segmenting the way we would like. I've got my dumbbells, I'm tucking my pelvis, keeping tension in the legs, and now I'm just going to allow my chin to drop, and I'm going to really squeeze the block as I create as much flexion through my spine. I come down as low as feels comfortable. Now, what you'll notice there is that I touch the floor quite easily. So to make this more challenging, the best way to do this is to actually allow yourself to come a little bit higher. And standing on a step will allow you to do that, so that way when you come down, your hands don't get blocked by the floor. So my best advice for this exercise is to just be patient with it, really focus on the movement of the spine and not to get too fixated on grabbing heavy weights too soon. If it feels comfortable, by all means, start to work in that increment of 1 or 2 kilos. Usually I'd recommend people to try to work up to about 25% of your body weight. It's usually a good benchmark to show a decent level of strength in and around that lower back, and also a good level of control and segmentation. Next up is shoulders. That's in part 3. Stick around, don't miss out.